Hello, we got modular 4. So again, I'm always going to repeat this probably every modular. You've gotten your permit, I hope, by now. That was in module 1. You've done your permit test, so on and so forth. This particular modular, we're going to talk a little bit about driver readiness, fatigue driving, aggressive driving, and then we may discuss a little bit about the driving plan of what stuff you need to do. The biggest thing here that I have is we're going to go through this will be the actual learn. That when you go into the learn, you're going to see the real stuff here. I don't have anything different other than a video or stuff that the DPS want us to talk about was what do you do when you get pulled over by a police officer. We will discuss that at the very end of this, but I'm just going to kind of briefly go through this modular because it's a very short one. And then you can take the questions, go look them up, and then gradually go to your quiz and you can go through there. Now, again, let me also repeat, I don't know if I've done this or not, that basically from here on out, you're basically watching the video, opening up the learn, reading through them, okay, and then taking your quiz. And your goal is to make all the icons turn green and all your quizzes turn purple. And then when you're totally done, you are done with the classroom, okay? Every quiz needs to be turned purple all the way through modular 12 by within 10 months of the time you order this course, okay? If not, you may have to pay a fee to renew it. So me, I would focus on just getting the classroom out of the way, because then you'll be able to log in for the rest of your life. And you can take as long as you want to do the drive times. All right? So let's get in here and discuss some stuff. Did I mess that up? I don't know if I messed up, but we'll go from there. I'll cut this out. All right, here's the questions. Just going to kind of go through these. You can stop the video, take pictures of them to go through what you need, your study guide to look for stuff. Your true falses. Okay, obviously the objective of this course is students expect to recognize legal responsibility and reduce risks. The HTS implemented knowledge and understanding skills and experience of driver education, traffic laws, driver vehicle movements, and so forth. All right, so let's move on to the next one. Attitudes. Attitudes and feelings and emotions and mental factors are a huge part of the driving, a huge part of operating the motor vehicle, okay? So, you know, although you're entitled to have a bad day, but in all reality, you got to keep your emotions in check when you're driving, okay? You know, nowadays, you know, obviously this year is 2022, or 2023, depending on, you know, where we're at. But in all reality, I mean, think about it. I mean, nowadays, if you piss someone off and shoot the bird at them, basically someone's going to pull a gun out and just start shooting at you, you know. Crazy world we live in right now. So, you know, keep your emotions. You know, you may just both broken up with boyfriend and girlfriend and you're trying to drive home and you're crying, whatever, you're sad. Or your grandmother just died. You know, something crazy going on. Things happen, but being angry at the wheel is not where you want to be. If that means you got to stop, let someone else drive home, then that's what you may need to do. Okay? Negative emotions, we're talking right in here. Negative emotions can distract, sometimes paralyze the effect upon driving tasks. Remember that emotions can interfere with the ability to think, create mental distractions, create alertness, can cause a driver to act emotions, increase risk, interpret the ability to process information. So be aware of these, all right? A driver must have physical skills and able to control direction, acceleration, and deceleration. So be aware of these things. Okay? Making good decisions based on factors such as road conditions. Okay? Is it raining too hard that maybe I need to pull over, wait for the rain to go by? Is it so foggy I can't see what's on the road if someone's on the other side of the road? So, be aware of these, vehicle problems and what's going on when it comes to, bad weather. Okay. Down here at the bottom, does the student demonstrate maturity and good judgment at home and at school and around peers? Is the student receptacle to instructor and constructive criticism, okay, about your driving? Mom and dad, you and mom and dad fighting over the car and how you're driving. You got to take it as it is, all right? And for the mom, if mom and dad are listening to this, remember this is a first-time driver. You didn't get your baby when your kid started to learn how to walk and they fell down. You didn't start screaming at them, get up, get up. You got to take that as it is, okay? Paying attention, mindful, being defined of tendency, inattention, and attend present moment, internal and external experiences. So be aware of all this, okay? The elderly, special care of taken when they're driving because of the increase of baby boomers. Elderly drivers are on the road, increasing speed, dense traffic, poor weather, distractions. So, be aware of all these when, that there's older people out there, middle-aged people, and then you out there as well. Road design. Just kind of looking through this to see if there's anything real important. We'll go down here. It says, down here at the bottom, it says automaker workers specialize in making vehicles move more inviting and safer to elderly drivers. Some are designed to, have a 360 degree. I know my dad had when he was old, his leg was welded together, so he had to put his leg way over here, and then he had a special hand brake on the steering wheel, so because he couldn't touch the gas. So you might have to get some of those, for the elderly, as well as, you just be aware that, there are elderly out there driving and so forth, okay? One thing I want to do before I get into disabled drivers, I do want to talk a little bit about motorcycle drivers. I tell everybody on motorcycle driving, the biggest thing I can say is, when you come to the intersection, you look left, right, left. Do take another look, especially around the car if there's another car sitting there. So kind of be aware of this. Motorcycles are very hard to see, and they have the rights to be in their lane just like you do. So, be aware of that. Disabled drivers, while driving the HTS, many times you encounter a vehicle, a handicap, license plate, or placard cards. That means this driver is in some way disabled, handicapped. Be courteous to this drivers. Do not park in the reserved handicap areas unless you are disabled and your vehicle is equipped in such a license plate or placard card. This is not to single out disabled drivers, but to let us know in the case of emergency of some other place. So know that if you got a handicap sticker in front of you, there might be something seriously wrong. I had a guy that came to one of my defensive driving classes. He had literally no legs. When he came into my defensive driving class, he came in on a skateboard and he rolled like that. And so it was a 2-day class. So when I came back the second day, I wait for him to pull up, and I walked over to him. I said, do you mind? I'd love to see how you touch the gas pedal. He used a 2x4. He pushed the 2x4 down, and he did the brake that. He actually took his test like that. So be aware if there's a handicap sticker or something like that on the thing. This guy may be driving slower because there are little things that they have to do you got to be aware of. So be aware of that. For more information on adaptive motor vehicles, you can click on the link and go from there. According to the NHTSA, handicap driving laws refer to the body of statutes regular deal with disabled individuals operating vehicles. Although the definition of disabled can vary to state, it generally covers individuals who have lost or use of more than one limb and special equipment are operated in the vehicle. So kind of be aware of that. All right. You got the American Disabilities Act, state motor vehicle laws you can read up, and vehicle motorification laws. All right. So I'll let you read up on those. You may have some questions about those in your questions. Good habit develop. So develop good habits. I want to jump down here to the bullets. A driver is prepared emotionally, physically, and mentally when you're driving. Okay. The vehicle is in good condition. You know, you're doing your walk around. All right. Using reference points and vehicle placements. Being alert. Reducing the speed. Adjust the speed to lane placement. Adjust the speed to approaching intersections, okay? Ensure that all areas of the vehicle are clear, right, left, center, and front. We tell everybody to kind of make a little diamond. Your car is right here in the middle, that you got good front space, left and right space, and bottom space, okay? So I always tell everybody, make sure you have at least 2 out of the 4, all right? So let's jump down here to distracted driving. Distracted driving is an act of driving while engaged in other activities such as texting, talking on the phone, talking to passengers, eating, looking at your children fighting in the back, you know, reading. Okay, I've seen people shave in the morning, you know, while they're going. This is all distracted driving. Distracted driving is dangerous, epidemic, and Americans' roadways. Young drivers have a greater risk of distracted driving than any other age. Matter of fact, the #1 killer to teenagers is not heart disease, not cancer, okay? It is texting and driving. It is the #1 killer to young drivers. Down at the bottom, if you are texting, you are not driving. Ask others to put down their phones while driving. I know there was a lady who was telling me, she came in one of our classes one time, and they had an app or she had a group friends in her email or her text, and she would text her friends, I am BTW. BTW stands for behind the wheel, okay? I think now the phones, you can put a note in there where it says the person's driving, and it texts everybody back that tries to text you or whatever. And the cool thing is you don't hear the text, because the first thing you want to hear, you hear that ding, and you want to look around and try to find the thing. Keep that away from you if you have to. I know my daughter sometimes had to put the phone in the back seat until she was done driving, okay? Route planning, you know, basically, you know, decide, you know, destination, where you're going, where you're coming back to, so be aware of that stuff, okay? Commentary driving, this is something I'm going to talk about in the next chapters or modules or 2. I use the Smith system, and we use a little bit about talking about commentary driving, you know, keeping you very focused, you know, recognizing the signs. Hey, I'm at a 4-way stop, clear, say clear outside, left, right, left, center. If we don't have you doing the intersections well, we will make you basically commentary out loud if you're not recognizing who has the right of way. What if the front car suddenly changes lanes, stops, turns, and what is the lane is the safest lane. So we'll talk about a little bit of that stuff. Okay, use commentary driving. I sometimes use commentary driving when I know I'm frustrated or emotionally disturbed or whatever. I start trying to call things out, and it helps me focus on that stuff. Fatigue, okay? The student is expected to define and explain the causes of systems in fatigue, okay? So in fatigue, sleeping driving, meaning you're going to sleep, is actually worse than drinking and driving, okay? All right? So, you know, basically if your eyes are falling down like this and you just can't keep it up, you know, basically you're just going to sleep. I would basically pull over, take a nap. Your body, your body has a natural alarm system. When it's tired, it's tired. Me, sometimes when I'm tired, I can pull over. I'll take a 10-minute, maybe 15-minute nap. Boom, bam, I'm up. I'm good for the rest of the day. So whenever me and my wife are going on trips, driving from Houston, Texas, or wherever to Colorado or wherever we go, we switch a lot. And I don't know what it is about lunch. Well, once I eat lunch, literally in about 30 minutes, I'm ready to take a nap. Okay. So, and she knows that. She knows once I eat. So once I eat, I don't even get in the car. I let her start driving and I take my nap. As soon as I wake up, I'm like, pull over right now. I'm ready to go. Okay. And sometimes that nap's, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, no longer than 20. I'm up. I'm ready to go. Okay. So whatever you got to do to prevent fatigue, do that.
Do you know one of the worst things that can happen while you're driving? This. Scientists call it a microsleep. Big problem. When you start to get drowsy, there's no way to know when you'll slip into one of these microsleeps. Bigger problem. At 100 k's, you travel over 100 metres every 4 seconds. So if you nod off, you could end up here, or here, or here. So don't ignore the early warning signs. When they start, it's time to stop, revive, survive.
Definition of drowsy driving and driving fatigue is generally a term commonly used to describe to experience of being sleepy, tired, drowsy, or exhausted. So, and it's probably worse being hangry, which is hungry and sleepy. So be aware of that. All right. Drowsy driving results in more than 100,000 crashes every year, and it causes about 1,500 deaths each year, 71,000 injuries, and more than 12 billion in losses, or according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, says basically that many people are dying, are getting in collisions, or that much money is spent through fatigue and drowsy driving. Okay, again, anxiety, depression, grief, stress, medical conditions. Okay, dangers of fatigue. The National Sleep Foundation reports that most people are aware of the dangers of drinking and driving, but don't realize that drowsy driving can be just as fatal. Okay, like alcohol, sleepiness slows reaction time, decreases awareness, impairs judgment, and increases the risk of crashes. So just be aware of these things. Up here, dangers involved while driving, including impaired reaction time, judgment, problems with information processing. Okay, all right. You're tired when all of a sudden you go through a light and you start to think in your brain, what was that, a red light or yellow light or green light? When you can't remember what the color of the light was, you can't remember if you ran the light or not ran the light, you need to pull over and take a 10-minute break, get out of the car, so on and so forth. Get a cup of coffee, Coke, or whatever you're going to do. Countermeasures. I like these. Countermeasures for fatigue. Take a break before driving. If possible, take a quiet or less congested route home. Okay? Drive slower. Increase the following distance. Allow more time to respond. Avoid staring at fixed stairs. Okay? Avoid staring straight all the time. Keep yourself busy. Okay? All right? I know my son, he would like, when he was driving home, sometimes he would just call us just to sit and chat on the phone to basically, so he wouldn't fall asleep or get tired, or just to basically, keep his mind busy and so forth. So if that's what you got to do, hands-free, call somebody and talk to them on the phone so you'll stay awake, great. I always tell everybody, just pull over to a gas station or a rest area. Just, lean the chair back, go to sleep for a couple seconds. You'll wake up about 10, 15 minutes. You'll feel better than you could ever do. Okay? So be aware of that. Aggressive driving. There's a lot of aggressive driving going on right now, especially after COVID. You know, the student, aggressive driving is basically trying to beat someone to the place that you need to beat. Me, I'm always, if I got someone, racing in and out, I want that guy in front of me, not behind me. Okay, so because I want to see where he is, because he's probably going to crash, he's probably going to hit somebody, and so forth. All right, aggressive driving. The driver of a motor vehicle is focused on added anger to the driving task. Okay, so I'll tell you here in a little story about a road rage person I had in a minute. Let me get through this. Dangers involve road rage cause stress, confrontation, assault, and collisions, and may lead to injury or death. Road rage is often brought by minor events such as tailgating, disruption of parking spaces, refusing the other to pass, honking the horn, dimming the lights, driving too slowly, shooting the bird, okay? Fender benders, braking, accelerating, and playing the radio too loud. Now, in my day, I was taught to get someone off your rear, and your mom and dad may have been taught this, is to tap your brakes. Okay? So notice in these little bullet points right here, okay, that basically one of the bullet points says braking and accelerating, okay? Maybe excessively or whatever. All right, so here's my story. So basically, I pull out of a teller to go get money. I pull out. This guy that I pull out in front, he was way behind me, way behind me. So I pull out. He finally gets up to my rear, and I'm just doing what I was taught: tap my brakes. Okay. Now, what is the best way to get rid of a tailgater? Just take your foot off the accelerator. Go slow. I promise you, I've seen tailgaters go around you. I've seen them go in ditches and come back out. They will figure out a way to get around you. So don't be tapping on your brakes, because that usually just pisses them off more. All right? But I didn't know that at the time. Okay? And ever since this situation, I never did it again. So I tapped my brakes to tell him to get off of me. He thought I was trying to make me run into him. I didn't know. He finally gets up beside of me, starts yelling at me, screaming at me. Then all of a sudden, remember, we're on a road with probably like 20 or 30 lights about every 200 or 300 yards. So all of a sudden, the guy gets behind me, and every time I change lanes, he changed lanes. The guy's following me, and I'm probably about maybe 10 miles from home. And I'm going down the streets, and I'm thinking, okay, what am I going to do? This guy's following me. I don't want to stop. The guy may pull out a gun. He may kill me, whatever. Okay? So all of a sudden, if you think of I don't know if I could draw it on here. So you got a road, okay, and you got a street. You got a street. You got a street. And then inside these little streets, you got little subdivisions that cut to the other street. So this one, I have like a little street that cuts to the other street. And I knew this about the subdivision. So on this one street, I go ahead and turn. Well, first of all, the light turns green. We're side to side. I just stop. I don't move. People honking at me, whatever. The light turns green. He goes through. And all of a sudden, I basically go ahead and turn down that street. So I'm going to turn down that street knowing I can cut through this street and then get to the other street and go back up and go back home. And by that time, that guy will be gone and forgot about me. So as I'm driving along, I'm looking in my rearview mirror, and all of a sudden, there's a median. And all of a sudden, I see this car jumping the median and landing. And basically, he didn't get real high, but you could see he went over the median, came out, and he's coming after me. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's going to definitely kill me. So I hook him. Usually it's 30 in a subdivision. I'm going probably, 60 in the subdivision, whipping through, come back up. So now, I guess he turned around, came back up. He comes down, let's see if I can get me in here. He comes down the road. I come back up, and guess when I get to the light turns red for me. Guess who the first person at the light is? I'm like, oh my God, it's him. So all of a sudden, I turn right. He gets behind me again. I turn down another street, okay? Now, this particular street has driveways that back up to the street, I see a guy mowing his lawn or watering his lawn, I just pull in his driveway, get out of my car, and say, "Sir, I'm sorry. I want to sit here for a little bit, but that guy is basically following me." He goes, "Stay there as long as you want." So now the car is gone as far as you can see. You can barely see his brake lights. So he's a good 200-300 yards away. So 3 football fields away. I back out, I start going, and I look, and all of a sudden I could see his lights, brake lights pop up like that and get bright. I'm like, no, he's not going to make a U-turn. So I make a U-turn because I am literally a half a mile from my home, from my apartment. I make the turn. I see him make the turn. I'm going, oh my God, this guy is definitely going to kill me. Now, I know where the police place is. It is literally another 10 miles this way, okay? So I'm getting up, and I'm dying. I am dying to find a cop because I am going to stop right in front of him yelling. So all of a sudden, I get up a 4-way stop, and all of a sudden, this car pulls up, and it's an unmarked police car. And I'm going, oh my gosh, perfect. So I roll through the stop sign, I stop, I get out of the car, the unmarked police car makes his turn, and then all of a sudden, here comes the guy. I walk up to the cop and say, "Look, there's this guy who's following me. He wants to kill me. I don't know what to do." And by the time I got the word, I don't know what to do, he pulls up, gets out of his car, doesn't know I'm talking to an unmarked, cop, starts walking towards me, pointing his finger, "I'm going to kill you, I'm going to kill you." And obviously I'm jumping behind the cop going, see, he wants to kill me, So anyway, make a long story short, the cop asked him, "Why do you want to kill him? What did he do to you?" And here's what he said. He kept tapping the brakes all the time to make me hit him. And it dawned on me, that's what I was taught. I was just taught to do that, okay? And now I never do that again. So what I learned from this situation is basically just take your foot off the gas, slow down. You slow down to 5 miles an hour, I promise you the road rage guy will go past you. Don't even look at him. Just go around him. He'll go around you. Let him be in front of you and let him go on. Let him get pissed off with someone else and not you. Okay? So anyway, road rage, watch out for it. They're very aggressive. I've been up lately during COVID. People getting mad. I actually had a guy pull a gun out on me. Okay? So, you got to watch road rage. I don't really look at the people next to me. Okay, if I see in the mirrors I pissed them off or I did something wrong, I just ignore it. So usually that always works. Okay. Aggressive driving is a growing problem and increasing results of crash. I think it'll be even worse in the years to come. In here, down here, like the bottom part down here, it says, what can we do? The best advice. Dot number 1 says try to ignore them. Don't look at them. Don't challenge them. Steer clear of them. Put as much distance between you as possible. Pull off the roadway necessarily. Again, when you pull off a roadway, if necessary, I would make sure I have someone else there. A road rage person really doesn't want to witness because he knows he's so angry. What was funny is the van that he was in. It was about a plumber, and I should have took a picture of it. But obviously, at that time, we didn't have phones. So anyway. All right, let's go down here to driver errors. Novice drivers usually mimic other drivers and the kind of experiences that give them a solid foundation of good habits. Factors that influence novice errors are lack of experience, influence of peers, influence of others. That's why when you get your permit, guys, there is a... when you finally get your license, I'm sorry, not your permit. When you get your license at age 16, 17, you're still on probation till you're 18. One of those probations is you can't drive the hours of 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. and you cannot drive with more than one friend. Okay, obviously cell and texting is one of those. So be aware of that. When you get your license, it'll have some sort of date, which will be your 18th birthday, and it'll have some sort of code. It'll say like code section 342. When you get that permit, go Google what that says on the back and read it, and you'll see what it says. So it's pretty important on that. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to talk about is what do I do when I get pulled over by a cop? Okay, this was created by the interaction between citizens and the law enforcement. Okay. Purpose of the goal is basically inform drivers, the public, students, and train the members of law enforcement. Expectations should be during the contact between officers and motorists. Okay. All right. To keep safe and to get home safely. That was their goal, is to keep the people in the car safe and to get home safely. Okay. So you get pulled over for a traffic violation. The violation could be speeding, tailgating, weaving your lane, improper turn, unsafe passing, unbuckled, cell phone use, so forth. Okay. You could also get pulled over for tail lights out, headlight out, low tires, brake lights, registration expired, license plates missing. Okay. Reasonable traffic stops. You fit the description of person of a crime. Your vehicle fits the description of a crime, and safe driving. Now, I will say, when your vehicle fits the description of a crime, you won't know that. And I always tell everybody this. Here's the deal. You don't know what happened to the officer of the previous car that he pulled over right before you. Okay? I mean, think about it. He could have walked up a car 2 or 3 hours before he pulled you over, and a guy got in a fight with him, or the guy pulled a gun on him, okay? So now he's walking up your car after that event, and he's a bit nervous, okay, because he just had a gun pulled out of him, or he had some guy screaming and hollering, or he had some guy get out of the car and charge him, okay? So be aware, not only are you nervous, the officer's a little nervous too, and remember, you don't know where he came from. So I want to lessen the tension of this cop by doing stuff in my car. Okay. Reactions of being stopped. You're fearful, angry, nervous, targeting, frustrated, surprised, anxious, inconvenienced, panicking, and you might even be happy. Okay. Traffic stops may be emotional event, but if you are not emotional, event for the officer. Okay. Driver immediately to stop, approach by authorized emergency vehicle. All right. Arrested if you do not stop. If you stop in an unsafe location, bridge or highway, road, an officer may get on his loudspeaker and make you move. Okay. All right. And then follow those officers' directions. Okay. Slow down. Park your vehicle in the road right away. Okay. Park on the shoulder road. Park a nearby well-lighted street, parking lot, away from high volume traffic. So if I'm on the freeway, I may try to get off the freeway. All right. Place the vehicle in parking position. Set the emergency brake. I'm gonna tell you, I've never set the emergency brake, so I'll pull it off. Turn off the engine and activate the hazard warning lights. That really kind of helps the cop at ease a little bit, because he knows that that you've been pulled off. Hazard lights help. Now, somewhere in here, I know we're going to talk a little bit about it, so I'm going to talk about it now. We're going to talk about, you don't know if this is really a cop or not, okay, or whatever. You feel uncomfortable. At that time, you could put your four-way flashers on and then drive to a place where you're supposed to go. Don't go real fast. Slow down to unnormal speed. And the cop sees the four-way flashers on. He's just going to follow you, and he's okay with that, as long as he knows that that you're going to pull over. Okay. Obviously, if you're a girl and you're a little scared of it, okay. And then obviously there's those racial tensions that everybody has too. If you're a little uncomfortable, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, maybe just basically pull over, keep going to the next gas station or a well-lit area, so it works, okay? The cop understands, as long as you put your four-way flashers on and you're driving a little slower than normal, okay? All right? If at night, turn the interior of dome lights. So basically, let's go to the next one. Okay, remain in the car. So that's one of the things. Lower the driver's window. So you want to lower the driver's window. Notice the cop in the picture, he's gone around to the other side. If it's on the freeway, he's going to go around to the other side. So be aware of that, okay? The one thing that cops tell us to do is just keep your hands on the steering wheel. You know you're going to have to get your license. You know you're going to have to get your insurance. It's in your glove box. You know you're going to have to get it. You don't need to get it right now. Right now, it's called introduction time. Let's get introduced to the cop, let him see you, and go from there. Probably 95% of the time, I have gotten away with a warning because I turned on my hazards. I left my hands on the steering wheel. I actually turned on the dome. I reached up to the mirror and turned the dome lights on. Put my hands on the steering wheel. Officer comes up, and I'm just as nice and stuff. Okay. Now, with that said, there is a trick that the officer loves to do. Okay, I'm going to share it with you. And the first question they're going to ask is, do you know why I pulled you over, sir? You have a Fifth Amendment right to say, I don't know. I'm not sure. You may have known that you were going 80 in a 40, and you know in your brain you were speeding, and you know that he's pulling you over for speeding. But if you answer the question that he just asked, you just admitted guilt, okay? All right? So I always say, no, sir, I'm not too sure. Could you help me? I'm not going to say, what the hell did you pull me over for, sir? I'm really just going to sit there and just, answer whatever questions he asks, okay? So be aware of that. I am going to tell him my name. You can't refuse that stuff. Once you start refusing that, they pull you out, they handcuff you, they start searching your car, they do all that. Because why are you being aggressive? Because the officer's just assuming you already know why you're being pulled over, okay? There should be nothing in your hands, including cell phone. I've had some people, like my cell phone's on me, and I reach over while he's coming up, and I tap the cell phone, and I tap the video, and I just let the video play. Obviously, it's not videotaping everything, but it's hearing everything. So if that's something you want to do, you can. Anything in your hands may appear as a handgun, so be aware of that, okay? Proper behaviors, proper behavior. Passengers inside, do not attempt to reach, dig, search for your license, documents, or whatever. He knows. And when he asks me for my insurance, I'll say, sir, it's in my glove box. You mind if I get it? He'll say, yeah. Okay. He knows that. Okay. Tell the officer if you are transporting a type of weapon. I've sometimes had a gun in the back, and just, most of them ask me. Okay. I don't usually offer that my gun's in the back unless they ask me. Okay. Sometimes when you tell them, hey, sir, by the way, there's a gun in the back. No, if he asks, I'm going to tell him. If he don't ask, I'm not going to bring it up, okay? A good lawyer always tell me, stick with the yes and no's. Yes, no, yes, no. Don't elaborate any more than what you need to say, other than my name is Jeff Adams, or whatever, or Coach Adams, blah, 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 okay? Proper actions before reaching into the glove box or seat to retrieve proof of insurance. You might want to ask for it. Inform the officer where the items are located. Follow the officer's directions. All right. If stopped for a violation, law enforcement may ask you to exit the vehicle. Exit for any reason. If you're asked to exit, check for passengers, vehicles, and exit. I got a funny joke for you. So I don't know what I was doing. I was probably, 22, 23. And I'm driving, and I don't know why that I'm either coming from a party or going to a business place. I don't remember whatever, but I was changing clothes in the car, okay? I could have easily pulled over and got it and gone. But, being young, I went ahead and just changed clothes. Okay. And, obviously my car is kind of weaving back and forth. So the car sees this, cop pulls me over, and there I am. My clothes are over there. All I am is in my underwear. Okay. And the cop looks at me and goes, why are you weaving? I go, well, sir, obviously, if you can tell, I'm changing clothes. And he started laughing. I started laughing. So don't do that, okay? But in all reality, you know, little stuff like that, cops are going to pull you over. You know, he's thinking I'm a drunk driver, you know? And so I just made it worse by weaving all the road, changing clothes when I could have pulled over, changed clothes real quick, and been done, you know? So proper behavior, law enforcement, drivers, and passengers should be response with a courtesy during the stops and other officers and citizens interactions, okay? Drivers and passengers should not exit the vehicle unless asked to do so. Exiting your vehicle may perceive as aggression and a threat to the officer's safety, okay? Advise passengers to remain in the car and just tell your passengers to shut up, don't, you know, remain silent, okay? Fifth Amendment rights, you got the right to remain silent. Don't talk unless they ask you to talk, okay? Advise passengers to behave and be courteous to the officer. At the conclusion of the stop, give appropriate signals, safely return to the appropriate lane when released by the officer, okay? The officer is probably going to wait until you do the first move. So don't wait for him to do the first move. You just take off and go, okay? Don't peel out and shoot rocks back up on his car. I know someone that did that too. So now he pulls you over. Now he's giving you a ticket, okay? Refrain from arguing during the traffic stop. Look, he gives you a ticket. It don't mean you're guilty, okay? You go to the judge. You prove that you prove your stuff. And you're not guilty, and it gets dismissed all the time. And you can always take defensive driving if you're found guilty anyway. So be aware of that. By him assigning, this is his interpretation of what he saw. It is not your interpretation of what you think he saw. You see what I'm saying? You prove that in a court of law, okay? Signing a citation does not mean you're guilty. Okay, if you wish to contest the charge, you should argue a case before a judge or request a jury or trial, okay? That is your Fifth Amendment rights, and I think, I don't know what the word is, memorandum rights, so forth, all right? Okay, provide assistance to Texas citizens, enforce the state laws, ensure to make the home safely, all right? Your rights. Right to remain silent. Your rights are right to remain silent, except truthfully identify. You got to at least identify yourself, okay? Right to refuse the vehicle to be searched. You have that right, all right? However, if the officer has reason to believe the vehicle contains evidence of a crime, or the vehicle can be searched without consent, all right? Remember, driving is a privilege, not a right, okay? So remember that. Required to show driver's license. If you do not show your driver's license, tell the officer your name, address, whatever. That's why I say when you get your license, do one thing. Right when you get your license, your roll license, when you finally get the real license, take a picture of it. There are numbers on there that you can use, and you can always show that to the officer if for some reason you forgot it at home or whatever. It helps, okay? Doesn't mean he ain't gonna write you a ticket for not having your license, all right? He might do that, all right? So take a picture of it, have it. They don't like you to use a picture of it, but you know, you could if you didn't have it on you, or you know, maybe your wallet got stolen, you got to drive home to go get another one. So commit offense if you give false and fictitious evidence. I got one for you. So basically what I had is I had two IDs. So I lost my license, went and got another one. Later on, months later, found the other one. I thought, okay, well, if I lose this license, I'll stick this one in there, okay? And all of a sudden, and I didn't remember where I stuck it, but I stuck it behind my insurance. And so I got out of the car, officer told me to get out of the car, and opened up the insurance, just pull the insurance out of the sleeve. I pulled it out, and all of a sudden falls on the floor is my other license. I forgot it was there. And he says, okay, I'm not going to get you for speed. I'm not going to get you anything. I'm going to get you because you have two IDs. The other ID has to have the corner cut, okay? And if it didn't have the corner cut, then I'm in guilty of holding two licenses, okay? If you feel unsafe, to stop immediately. If you have concerns the vehicle are not really a real police vehicle, you can take the following step to minimize, reduce arrest changes. Turn your hazard lights on, drive slowly, very carefully to a posted speed limit, okay? You may drive to the nearby well-lighted place or populated stop, okay? So be aware of those things. You could do that if you wanted to, but if you're flying, you know, over the speed limit to go to the next place where your hazard lights on, the guy's going to think you're speeding away. All right. Evading arrest or detention, officer intentionally fleeing from the law officer, subjected to higher penalties. Subjected to higher penalties and cause of injury of another person. So basically that's it. Here's the questions. I think I showed the questions to you on this one, but I'll show them to you again. Okay. I do have the answers here, so you can look through. I'll do these kind of fast, all right? But do go do the research, look through there, read up in your learns.